Hey there, Ravens. Are you playing Armored Core so much on the Steam Deck or PC that you're starting to feel pain, tingling, or tightness in your forearms, hands, or wrists, but also you can't get yourself to stop playing? Well, me too. So I've made this video with some tips on how to improve the ergonomics and performance of your controller setup for extended play sessions in Armored Core 6. Let's get into it. In this video, I'm going to recommend some gear that I found helped give me a more comfortable and responsive control setup for Armored Core 6. I am not affiliated with these brands or products in any way. I do not receive any income or commission from them. I purchased them with my own scratch and just recommending and sharing what's worked for me. Also, before we go any further, I do want to call out that this setup does require the 4 mappable back buttons on the back of the Steam Deck or on the back of some Pro controllers like the Big One Gale that I use. This setup also benefits from the ability to customize your input sensitivity settings. You can do this using the Steam Deck's built-in options. Additionally, some controllers, again like the Gale that I use, comes with customization software that you can use to adjust the inputs. Controller customization is a very subjective and personal thing, so this guide is just a recommendation, a starting point. Take what works, if anything, and customize or eliminate the rest. Let's talk about issues affecting ergonomics and gameplay performance. So before we get into the setup, I do want to quickly address some of the underlying biomechanical issues at play here causing us pain and discomfort. Real quick though, I am not a medical professional and this is not professional medical advice. If you have severe or chronic pain, you should see your doctor or a qualified physical therapist for help. With that out of the way, for me personally, the Steam Deck is one of the biggest culprits because I'm usually just locked into this 90-degree position while playing for sometimes hours on end. This puts a lot of strain on the tendons that run from your elbow through your forearms up into your wrist, and that strain can lead to inflammation. This inflammation and tightness is where our pain and discomfort comes from. It's commonly referred to as tennis elbow, but it can even irritate the nerves in your wrist, like in my case, up through here in the hands. So it's like sometimes a burning or tingling sensation, and making this worse are Armored Core 6's mushy stick dead zones and extremely fast action-oriented gameplay that requires a lot of rapid inputs and reaching with fine motor control. Especially as you get older, these movements really add up. You're locked in this non-ergonomic position for hours on end. I do come from a fitness background, and fortunately there are stretches and mobilization techniques that you can use to mitigate some of this, but that's beyond the scope of this video. Just let me know in the comment section if that's something you're interested in, and I'll do a piece on it. Okay, with that out of the way, let's start talking about the actual setup that we can use to address these issues without sacrificing gaming performance, along with some gameplay footage to help illustrate what I'm talking about. So for the control sticks, they keep most of their function, but have been tuned heavily. I did remove the assault boost and target lock activation from these, mainly because I would pretty often activate them unintentionally in heated moments, particularly in PvP matches. And that is not good. I'll talk about where I remapped those later. To compensate for my large hands, I added some nice grippy stick covers with thumb contours and textured grips to add some bulk. Making sure that you have a good fit in your hand is really important to get a relaxed grip that is going to be comfortable for a long period of time. Also, and this might be a little TMI, my hands get sweaty when I'm playing PvP matches and it gets heated. Having a nice textured grip really does make a big difference in just maintaining a nice, confident, stable grip on the controller. Again, the idea here is to create a nice, relaxed, comfortable, and natural hand position that can maneuver the gamepad with minimal effort. Tensing up and death gripping your controller is a great way to fry out those tendons and nerves in your hands and arms. The next customization that I did is totally subject to personal preference, but for me, I was experiencing a certain type of strain in my hands from stick reach, again, that burning sensation through here. Mostly on the Steam Deck, but also on the PC for extended play sessions. And for me, I'm a writer, I'm a designer, I'm a musician. This concerned me because I use my hands constantly for a lot of intricate work. But I'm a nerd, so I like to play video games. So to minimize the stress in my hands, especially with these fine, rapid motor control movements, I reached for a set of foam aiming rings like these from On I Aim. It's a Japanese company. I'm sure there's tons of other companies that make similar products. I got these because they matched my control colors. Accessorizing matters, as we know in Armored Core. So I added these to my controller that I use for PC, and also to my Steam Deck, which adds physical resistance to the sticks. Then I raised the stick sensitivity settings and adjusted the dead zones so that only minimal stick input was required to pilot without feeling uncontrollably squirrely. So I guess this is what the kids use in the Fortnites. I've personally never had an experience with an accessory like this before, but to be honest with you, I've been really happy with the results from both the performance and ergonomic standpoint. Now, it's hard for me to recommend specific settings because everything is so personal and subjective, and I highly recommend you fiddle and adjust the settings to find out what's right for you, but I will share my settings currently just to give you a starting point. And just know I'm still dialing mine in. But the other thing that I like about these foam rings is you get a range of hardnesses or durometers, so you can kind of dial in the right level of resistance for your controller. The other nice thing too is my stick feel across PC and Steam are largely the same. This creates a more seamless experience if I'm switching between the devices. All right, that's enough stick talk. Let's move on to the other piloting functions. The jump/ascend and quick boost I mapped to left and right triggers respectively. And I set their sensitivity where I can just blip them with minimal input to activate. It's always intentional, but very minimal travel. This has helped reduce strain in my wrists while improving the reaction time for jumping and dodging actions. For the weapon slots, I mapped them all to the 4 back buttons on the Steam Deck and my Gale controller. So when I'm playing, my hand stays in a more natural position while having instant access to any weapon slot at all times. This setup also makes it a lot easier to hold down any of the weapon buttons for an extended period of time, like when you're charging shots or applying constant pressure weapons like the Xiaowei, without losing a lot of dexterity in your hands. Personally, I struggle with more advanced maneuvers like aggressive assault boosting, while simultaneously using quick boosts and quick turns, and firing and charging specific weapons. It's a lot to manage. Using the 4 back buttons addresses this issue and doesn't interfere with making jumping, ascending, or quick boosting decisions, giving you full control over your evasion, positioning, and assault boosting maneuvers while attacking with precision. Okay, so let's shift our attention to the face buttons, which I'm using the Steam and PC button configurations. But you can still use these principles, you'll just have to convert them to shapes. I'll try to help you out if I can. I have boost mapped to A, which I believe is X for Sony, which works really well for me from a real estate standpoint for implementing quick turns along with assault boosts. Again, quick turning and 180 turns are a very good tactical maneuver to have mastered, and having a setup that makes it easy to use has really helped my positioning and facing. B is for target lock. I believe that is circle for Sony. Personally, and I'm not ashamed to admit it, but I do suffer from premature or unintended assault boosting and target lock toggles. I just get really excited, especially in PvP, and press down on those controls and unintended things happen. Mapping it to B makes target lock a very intentional choice, and I found that there are instances where I do need to toggle it, and making sure that that decision is confident and concise has done a lot to just reduce the amount of piloting errors that happen due to erroneous inputs. B works for me because it's not used all the time, but it is close enough to be accessible when making those tactical choices. I use X for assault boost, and I believe that is a parallelogram for Sony, also to eliminate those accidental inputs. Mapping it to X has also improved my overall timing, especially with boost kicks, and while using quick turns and quick turn cancels, and just generally developing my assault boost technique. Assault boosting is a very critical component, especially to competitive Armored Core 6 play, so making it a very intentional choice with confident inputs, I think is a great way to help maximize your ability as a player. The Y button, also known as a triangle on Sony, is left for activation and using the expansion slots, which is mapped to X plus Y. Again, this is a very intentional and very easy input to initiate. And that's it as far as the actual control remapping and customization goes. As you can see, this setup ignores the bumpers, which personally I didn't have a need for given the layout. The benefits to me personally for this type of setup is just a lot less strain from those repetitive movements. It's also a major reduction in accidental inputs and generally more efficient and intentional access to some of the more advanced piloting maneuvers and equipment. Does make liberal use of the target lock feature within Armored Core 6. And to do that, you really do have to kind of keep your hand off the right stick once you've acquired target lock. The benefit of that is you free up your right hand to really focus on those face buttons and what you need, whether it's assault boosting or quick turning or reloading your weapon. All of that's available to you as long as you trust your target lock. After learning more about this system and how it's been implemented, I've learned to trust in it to do its job, which has allowed me the mental resource to focus on maneuvering and assault boosting, some of those more advanced tactics. This has worked really well for me personally in addressing some physical issues and limitations for my playing. But again, controller preference is highly personal and highly subjective. I hope this video gives you some new perspectives and things to try as you look to make piloting your AC as comfortable as possible. Let me know if it helps or what works for you. Good luck out there, Raven. Thanks for watching. Catch you next time.